This morning or this afternoon, we are going to discuss ASUU issue this afternoon. So I'm going to introduce all the gentlemen who are. Okay. So we are joining us. This is NIGERIAN Watch. We are going to discuss about ASUU strike. So, sir, please kindly introduce yourself.
I'm Gabriel Everything.
Okay. Sir.
My name is Comrade Ogba Victor, National President of the Movement for Nigerian Transformation.
Honor direct. Okay. Okay, come again, sir. Okay, sir. So let's just go straight to the issue. I think I'm going to start with Pa Abweko. We're going to discuss about ASUU strike. ASUU strike has been on, off and on for over 20 years. So don't you think? How do you think this issue can be resolved?
Well, we look at the inconsistencies in governmental operations relating to education in this country. As a matter of fact, we're looking at this inconsistency as not prioritizing education. It's part of this, all the importance to all as well. And as a matter of fact, except federal government, even national, state, local government administration begin to take education as their priority in their budgets. So we will remain like this. We will continue to recycle setbacks in the educational sector.
Let me take your opinion, Comrade Ogba.
Well, thank you very much for having me. You see, this lingering issue for over 20 years, it's obvious that education is not a priority to the Nigerian government. If you look at what is budgeted for education year in, year out, and compare what is budgeted for fuel subsidy, what is budgeted for traveling allowance for the president and his crew, and some other social budgetaries, you will come to see that education is not a priority. And if education is not a priority, these issues we are talking about will continue for another 100 years. We will not see an end. Until we stop deceiving ourselves as a people and as government, these issues will continue. And of course, even the ASUU themselves, you come out every day to engage government on one single issue at the detriment of our children in school. And as soon as your ego is rubbed, or they are able to appease the few individuals who go into the negotiation table, and they'll tell you we have called off the strike, and they will go back home again, postponing the evil days. Another year again, you will come out again, and you want to shout, this issue has not been resolved. Why not strike once and for all? Because at the end of every 6 months, you will stay at home. Every 1 year, you will stay at home. Your salaries will be paid. But the students who you have kept at home, the house rent the child has paid for accommodation fee, especially for those who live in the off-campus, is gone. The parents will come and pay another accommodation fee again. I think until the point where, at the end of every strike, when they are paying ASUU their money, we start taking away the fees, the money spent by parents to pay for her accommodation fee that has fast spent for doing nothing, from their salaries to cushion the effect and other expenses. I think they themselves will sit tight. So for me, the government has trivialized education by means of budgetary and attention that has been given to education, and they ASUU themselves too. They have not taken the cost very seriously. Instead, they are dragging this issue to the point that it has lasted for over 20 years, and the children are the ones suffering it. So for me, it is time both parties, both the government and the ASUU themselves should sit tight and ask themselves, what do we want? And the people too, we should move from the state of an onlooker. The issue of education concerns every one of us. If you don't have a child in the university, does not mean that the issue does not concern you. Because the society, whatever the education produce out affects the society, and it is the society that governs you. So every one of us will put our mouth, our leg, our hand into this issue. The landlord in the various communities, what is left, what is wrong? If the landlord say, for the fact that we are on strike, we too, as part of our responsibility, we want to cushion the effect of what these children are facing. As we come back, you know, and one way or the other, you see how they themselves too can assuage this. But meanwhile, whatever it is, but what I'm trying to say is that let it be a collective fight, so that we must fight to finish, so that at the end of it all, we would have resolved the issues. Not that they have romanced ASUU have romanced government, and we say let's go home, because we have been able to satisfy the individuals who want to speak on behalf of everybody. And by next year again, we're coming back to the same table. So that is my submission.
I would like Honorable Dave, sir. So, what is your take? I want you to throw more light on that same topic that I raised.
Yeah, actually, the ASUU strike has become a recurring decimal in Nigeria's educational sector, and it's something that is actually very appalling. It gives us a lot of concern, because first and foremost, the students are affected, because the students are the ones that are actually bearing the brunt of the whole thing. Then, going further to that, I mean the parents too are also suffering it, because so many of them end up paying a lot of things. I mean, they pay school fees twice, as modalities, and even house rent and a host of others. So really, it's an issue that both the government and ASUU ought to have taken very, very seriously, so that this issue will be resolved once and for all time. But if you look at the entire issue, really, one would put more of the blames on the fact that the government had not prioritized education. They don't take it as a priority. Otherwise, even if ASUU is making outrageous and unreasonable demands, the government on their part should have been able to meet up the part of demand and make ASUU to somehow feel that they are making unreasonable demands. First and foremost, ASUU's demand most times have always been, as it has to do with how to make the educational system functional, how to make it well funded. Then outside their personal allowances and maybe salary and other things, the government on their part are not willing to make the educational system in the country functional. So it's like we have two opposing forces with two kind of let's say contradictory ideas as to how the educational system will work. So that has actually been the reason why we have been having this strike. And if you look at it, actually, it has been spanning over 20 years. I mean, they will strike after some time to call off the strike. They go back to school. Then, not quite, so you say a year or even 6 months after, they go back again on strike and start saying that the government is dishonest. The government is not actually meeting their own part of the bargain. And certainly, I'm going to come to the issue of how a permanent solution can actually refer to it. But for now, I just want to say that they have been deceiving themselves. And that deceit is not helping the educational system.
Sir Ibinosa, ASUU and federal government they've been romancing for over 20 years without getting results. So how does that one affect?
Thank you for inviting me for the discussion.
Okay, sir.
The strike is only unique to African countries, Nigeria in particular. You see, it's not done in a place like America. You don't see schools going to strike. You see, it's never done. So the government of this country must think about education. It's the best legacy you can give to children. If you keep them away from the corridor of education now, they are very far away now. They are at home playing now. How are they going to get the type of education you want them to learn, or want them to compare yourself to that country like America? So this recurring decimal of going to strike every day is not good for this country. And the government must do something about it. Otherwise, we are dragging ourselves back each time we see strike of this nature. So for me, for the government to be very sincere themselves, once you have discussion with ASUU members or ASUU organization, please, whatever you arrive at, you must carry it out. If you are giving them 1 kobo, make sure that money is given to them as a non, so that this recurring decimal of strike here and there will not happen again. That's my little contribution right now.
I will go to Sir Honorable Dave. ASUU just extended the strike for another 12 weeks. What are your views about it?
Yeah, actually, first and foremost, I want to say that it's as a result of the fact that the government have not been able to meet up their demands. So that's the reason why they have extended it after the first 3 months in which they started the strike. The strike started on a very low note, but now it's beginning to take a very serious toll on both the students, parents, and the educational system in the country. If we really say we are coming to look at it, extending the strike for another 3 months or 12 weeks, as the case may be, is to enable both ASUU and government to sit up and charge this issue once and for all. But the government, to the best of my knowledge, is finding it difficult to meet up with the demands of ASUU. Because from what we somehow understand, for the educational system in the university to be properly funded, the government needs about 200 billion to put into the educational system. This money to me is simply not available for now. That's the way I look at it. But again, if we look at the waste we have been suffering in the country, the waste that we have been suffering in terms of treasury looting, in terms of salaries and allowances being paid to political gladiators in the country, in terms of money we spend in defense sector and a host of others, we find out that 200 billion might just be a little money. But all the same, I still believe that the 200 million for now may not be available ones. So whatever the government can give out, at least to enable us to call off the strike and go back to work, they make a concrete promise on how they are going to pay the balance within a specified period of time. And they must make sure they stick to that particular timetable of payment. Then at the end of the day, I think this issue would have been somehow resolved. And everything about this repeated strike could have come to an end. But even at that, I still personally believe that there are some more enduring steps that could be taken to ensure that educational system runs smoothly in this country without necessarily having this strike or having all this bargain coming up and some other things like that. So I'm going to really dwell more on the permanent solution after this particular time also.
Honorable Comrade Ogba, ASUU just extended the strike with another 12 weeks.
Well, just like a school proprietor will say, a private school proprietor will say that when you owe for school fees, I cannot, because the parents owe for school fees, let me arrest the child, or let me begin to punish the child, or let me begin to go and arrest the parents. The only weapon the proprietor has is to send the child back home. In the case of ASUU, I think this is one of the weapons they have to drive home their demands, especially when governments choose not to listen to them. But of course, good as it may, if you put it on a scale, the impact negatively on the parents and the students and the society is way more than the gains I think they want to achieve. That is why I will always say, and no matter the decision ASUU want to take, should always put the children into consideration. If as ASUU have called out, gone for 2-month strike, and then call the children back to school and say we have finished this 2 months warning, children went back to school and said by the end of the next 3 months, if you don't respond to our issues, we are going back again. I think the bite will not be too much. Yeah. But it still boils down to government. I wonder why government will allow this system to break down completely before they will think of start looking for solution. Must we always wait for the workers to cry, to shout, to lament, to the point of going on strike before issues can be addressed? Like I earlier said, it is because education is not a priority. If you line all of them now, line them out, the governors, senators, ministers, line all of them out, you discover that they are all their children. They are not schooling here. Even few that their children will be schooling in this country, they are in private universities where they are enjoying the free flow of educational system. So if all this happen, why would they bother that the schools are closed? That is why I always refer to Chief Gani Faremi of blessed memory, who says that if a governor child is not attending the public school that is seen over, that is overseen, then it means that there is something wrong with that school. Not until the governors or the senators or the president, whoever is in elected position, one local government chairman or councillor, that and say that they are passionate about the running of schools, even if up to tap water is not flowing in school. You see the way the PTA members, which these elective officers are one of them, take on school, go an extra length to see that these things are put in place because the children are there. So until their children,
that is not replicated in the public school.
No, until their children begin to attend the government school, public schools, then they begin to take it seriously. I'm sure if the governor of my state, his child is attending the government school, his wife or his brother or his aide or himself go to drop the child in school and return back, I'm sure he will know the troubles and he will ensure that that school never goes down, never close down. So one of the major things that will solve the problem of this problem we are still facing is that government the national assembly should enact a law. The day you become a public office holder, your children will automatically, if your children are in private school, they will automatically be withdrawn from the private school they are attending and be fixed into public schools. When we all have all our children there, they will all think on how to settle the issues of education. They'll begin to see it as a priority. I take COVID-19 as a case study. When COVID-19 came, it did not select who to meet. There was no big man, there was no poor man, there was no executive officer, there was no layman. When the country was on shutdown, the whole world was on shutdown, they were all taking everybody to the same isolation center. They were not flying anybody out of this country to anywhere. Hence, we were now seeing serious attention in isolation center. We are beefing up isolation center, putting them into heavy standard. We were not seeing a lesser isolation center. Every isolation center was beefed up because they know that if the governor is infected today, he will be taken there. If the president is infected today, he will be taken there. He cannot be flown out of the country. And as such, you see the kind of attention that was given to COVID-19 isolation centers in this country, in the entire world. Nigeria keen seriously. We are running live transmission of COVID-19 report every day.
Daily basis.
On daily basis, that even the secretary to the federation, was there, will be there. The minister for health will stand. The minister for information, they were all there every day. They will not miss it. They will come. They will start to give Nigeria. They were accountable to Nigeria for once. They will start telling us what they have done, what they are about to do, what they will not do. What Nigerians were following. They were giving us updates. If they take education seriously like that, we will not be where we are, because it affected them. Until education affects them, they will not take it seriously. So you are putting it to the National Assembly. The way you have been fighting on how to put in a clause and remove a clause in the Electoral Act, take this upon yourself and put it into that. Put it in. Somebody raised it recently. It was killed. That's to show how selfish you are. That's to show that you are not serious about it. It was thrown away when they said that every serving member, every serving member of the House, every executive officer of this country, their children must attend government school. It was thrown away by you. It shows that you are not serious. For you to prove that you are serious, you must insert that into the Nigerian law and our constitution. Then we will take it seriously, and then we will start taking you seriously. And by only then, you will take education serious. And when you take education serious, the effects will be seen on the budget. The effects will be seen in the ministry. Everybody will be on their toes until you start telling us. I wonder when Nigerians will begin to have live transmission on daily basis to begin to tell us the state of Nigeria education, what is happening in Uniben, what is happening in Zamfara University, what is happening in Unijobs, what is happening in Unilag. Until we begin to, if we start getting that kind of daily report like we were getting in the COVID-19 report on daily basis, I think we will not be where we are today. Thank you.
Grateful. Sir Abweko,
Yes.
you can tell me more about it.
Well, you see, we will be beating around the bush over this matter for too long. And we are paying, we parents, we are paying that the matter remains the way it is. As a matter of fact, Nigeria has weak legislation, legal loopholes, lousy enforcement, and escape clauses and routes for violators. You know what I'm saying? So it's also part of the leadership problem that we have. The type of leadership also encourages lapses. So that is why we see that we continue to experience these setbacks in the educational system. The leaders we are talking about now are those who seek elected position without, knowing there's so much, no basic, command or basic knowledge. That's one. No command or basic knowledge. They are not, sensitive to, continuous events. There's no continuous sensitivity to events. Two, they are not purposely inclined to the people's plight. We are looking for leaders, who have head for public things. I give you an instance now. We are talking of ASUU now going extending their strike. ASUU is not just talking of their own payments alone or whatever their entitlements are. ASUU is looking at the state of the universities. I'm sure as we speak now, NUC, Nigeria University Commission, they are aware of all the deficiencies. Who takes on all the deficit, challenges? One, ASUU has to rise up to ensure that the university have the necessary facilities to really train, children out of school. If we don't have that, it's rubbish. The other people, the leaders and all that, who know where to put their children, they know that there is something we call General Agreement on Trade in Services, GATT. General Agreement on Trade in Services. That is to say, in the several models we have in the educational policies, NUC knows about this. It's training and articulation model. The training and articulation model is such that your local universities here can tie up with international universities outside this country who are already recognized in their own country as well, and provide these facilities that are missing in our own national universities here, local universities. You get it? So that they can give the real standard of education to our students. So those who can afford, because you cannot pay for all that, because they're going to be expensive. They are going to bring the facilities. these international universities. They will bring all the facilities and make sure they keep to standard, encourage pedagogy. You understand? And ensure that they come up with standard that will actually bring out students, and you see, yes, these are students and product of so and so university. They can even have 2 degrees, one awarded locally and the other one international. So these leaders who know that Nigerian university is already a flop, they put children here. I don't know if you understand. And because they have a way out, they are not bothered. That is why I see that the problem keep rolling on. ASUU knows what they are doing. I don't blame ASUU one bit because of the inconsistencies and politicizing in the educational policies. I've told you, there's legal loopholes and lousy enforcement and escape clauses. You understand? That is what has killed this nation, roundabout. So what we are saying is this: when people are seeking elected position, let us, especially, I'm talking specifically to the electorate now, they should know who they are bringing onto power in order to control all these excesses and abuses of human rights. The children are at home, parents are feeling it. They are supposed to be in school. I have been saying that 80 to 90% of the crime in this country is being created by national, state, and local government administration. For instance, you see the students, in the street the other day. They are not supposed to be in the street, they are supposed to be in school. Now, for instance, or for example, that protest was hijacked by hoodlums. They will say they are committed a crime. Who created the crime? National administration. You have failed to do your duty. You are afraid to prioritize what they are supposed to prioritize. You are given, seriousness to things that are not really matter.
Yes.
You understand? And, you are relegating those ones that really matter to us. That's why I mentioned that word. The degree of sensitivity to events, continuous sensitivity to events of a leader matters much. They purposely inclination, because leadership is giving direction. It is not just about coming to lead, about coming to take elected position. It's about implementing those things, policies that will work, policies that will help to go carry the nation forward. But it's unfortunate that the people we have, in fact, we need to test their mental acuity before we put them in areas like this. Education sector is a very sensitive one. You don't just bring people into it because they just want to be there. I question ministers, all the ministers of education they will be having, if they don't know that they have to prioritize this sector. Well, I don't know. Parents are suffering. They spend all their money to pay school fees. Some people sell their bottom box, to ensure that, because they want education for their children. But it's unfortunate that the government of the day, the past, as a matter of fact, I'm not taking education serious. We spend so much money on security, yet we don't have security. So much money in other areas, and we don't have them. So let's, ASUU is trying to do their work. I think ASUU should continue to do it, because if we blame ASUU, we are going to regret it in the future, because I've told you there's lousy enforcement. We have weak legislation, and it's for a reason, because they know that with all these loopholes, we can only have an escape.
Thank you, sir. I will take this to Okaibinosa on the extended 12-week strike of ASUU, sir.
I really thank you for this very important. ASUU going on strike for another 12 months or whatever. It's sad. One, you see it from different angles. One, it's going to create criminality in the societies. This our society, you see boys going around now creating problems for their parents. They are at home now. We all have parents, we have children in the university. They are at home with us. We are still feeding them. You can imagine after paying school fees, paying their school fees, pay whatever they are supposed. Yet we are still feeding. Yes. So it's a very sad one. So as we go on strike for another, I didn't go by it at all. The best thing for them is also to call for another roundtable conference. Let us really deliberate on this thing. Government, you think of this situation. Look at how parents are suffering. You cannot afford to buy anything in the market. These are so expensive. And yet you are carrying the liability back to parents again at home. It's sad. So I appeal to ASUU, reduce this strike to at least 2 weeks, not 2 months. So that you now sit down with government, discuss with government, whatever government say, they must carry it out. If they say this is what we are going to do, please should not run away from such responsibility. As soon as you say we are going to do it, satisfy them. That is why ASUU is not happy with it. This thing are becoming, it's recurring all the time. As soon as you do that, you promise them we are going to give you so amount of money. Before you know it, you change again. When you get to the time, are you not going to pay us? You say, well, we will pay, but we don't have the money now. It's a lie. The money is there. If budget, things, you don't run into things, you budget for things.
4 billion naira was approved
Yes.
to the president for fuel subsidy.
Yes.
4 billion naira.
What they do with that? You can very much, well, not a few days ago, the president said he had marked about 300 and something billion. That is giving 6 something billion to each university. 6 something billion. How much is that to a university? You don't need the cost of running a university. It's not that easy. So, my best advice, you are punishing the parents of the children. You are punishing them. Because if you look at it, who is carrying the body? It's the parents now. Some of them, like my colleagues have already said here, the rich in the society, their children are all around, they are not here. Are they with us? So they went to do society, they made society, their children are not. So for that, I hope candid advice to ASUU is to call this ASUU, call it off by meeting with the government, tell them what they have to do once and for all, so that we don't have this recurring investment all the time, happening over and over years. And I can remember how many years this has been running over time. So that's my own.
Thank you, sir. I will take you on this on this. The students of the Nigerian students are saying no education, no election. That what they are asking of is to go to their various classrooms. What they are asking of is to go to their various classrooms. So what is your take on that? Because the students of University of Benin, that of Ekpoma, Coben, College of Education, Igwebe, and that of Auntie Poly, they all came out on the street and send a strong message to the authority that they want to go to classroom and they are eager to learn. That they are saying that no education, no election. So what is your take on that?
Oh, good words. In fact, I support them without about it. Do you know why? One, youths are the most dynamic sector of any society, from where you also produce leaders. If there is no education for them, you are recycling the same type of leaders. You want to elect now. You are looking at the youths, students now, they are the future leaders. I'm telling you now, for the immediate future, we need them. So if they are not educated, what kind of election? Who are you conducting election for? Aberu. So we are looking at a situation whereby we are bringing in refined people on board to run the affairs of this country. Not Akberu, not people who just want to come because they want to satisfy their own, curiosity. No, we are looking at people who really mean well for this nation. You get what I'm saying? The election you are talking about, are they not saying that even presidential race is 100 million to pick it from? You have just by that, screen off, meaningful Nigerians who want to develop this country. They don't have such money, to spend to obtain funds.
I think for me, Nigerians are 40. They are guilty of that.
Yes, I want to tell you one thing. Let me tell you, we are talking of ASUU. All parents should go to the street now and resist this government. Let them do it, whichever way they want to. The money they have hidden, the money they have stolen, let them recoup it and put it in education. It's a priority.
Sir, are you good with it?
Yes, of course. And was I not there when they was to solidarize with them? You can't keep, youths. Look, youths now are the future leaders of this country. That is where you are. Okay, where are they feeding the people now for leadership position to take up elected position? Where? So that is the point. I told you just now, for you to be a leader, you must have, command of basic knowledge. Even professional knowledge is also very important. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
You must be purposefully inclined to our plight. You must have head for public things before you seek elected position. No, it's not just meant for everything can hurry. So that's my take. So all parents should go to the street and resist this government. Then they go and do it. They do the needful now.
always have alternative in case it is not going well. Okay, Comrade Toba, for me, I have this question for you. I think this problem is created by the elite.
We, who are the core people, the students. When a man dies, you go and pay condolence visit to the wife. You see the wife as the person who has a serious hit, and there's a way you take care, you console the wife. So our government, they are fighting. The students are the serious hits, and yet they don't want to be listened to. They had a meeting with the Minister for Education. He worked out on them.
And the man just bought a fund.
And the same man has gone to buy a fund of 100 million. Want to run for presidency. I want to talk to the students particularly. Take your destiny in your hands. ASUU, no matter how beautifully they have garnished their demands, they are not speaking for you, self-interest. Neither government is interested in you.
But I think the fight is collective fight.
So what I am saying is that the students have the power to shut down this country. If you say no election, no classroom, no education, when is no election? No education, no election. When is election? Election is fine until next year. Are you going to sit at home and wait till next year and say I will stop you from doing election? You are losing out. Or even if you say there is no election, you are only extending the tenure of the so-called leadership that you think are even fighting education, because there will not be vacuum. The man will sit put until election is conducted. Come out! You have done it before, and you can still do it again, and you will get a better result. I am calling out all the students in unison. Come out from all over the country. Hold this country to ransom. Hold Nigerian government to ransom. Shut down every activities of Nigeria. Demonstrate to the world. Tell the world that you have been oppressed. Education is supposed to be a right, but they say it's a privilege and you must pay for it. Even when your parents are even paying for it, they are not still giving it to you. Hence, what else can you do? That is why you are coming out to draw the attention of the world. Hold your barrel and say you will not write and sign anything in this country. Hold the vessel that no oil will leave this country until our issue has been resolved. And I bet you, when Nigerians discover that they are not able to drill oil, when a governor discovers that he is not able to go outside to collect tax and revenue, they will begin to run around and to resolve the issues. When they see that they are not able to go to their various clubhouses and places of enjoyment, where they sit down and eat and laugh over our issues, they will sit put. So I am calling out on all Nigerian students that you must come out, you must hold this country, you must demonstrate, you must shut down this country. We will be behind you people. Show us leadership as students, you are the worst hit. When you are at the front, we will be behind you. And let us see whether they will not run out of the hideouts. And let us see whether that 100 million naira fund that the Minister of Education have collected, how useful it will be to him at that time. This is the way forward. Because I don't want a situation whereby ASUU and government are sitting down again and they are able to give the few individuals who are representing as ASUU, they are able to give them what they want to hear and return back. And tomorrow we are back to the same crisis again. So I think the students, the Nigerian youths, will definitely have to come out and hold their destiny in their hands. Thank you.
Pagbinosa, before I'll get to Ogade, I'm reserving one key question for Ogade that is going to respond to. Pagbinosa, why are the state governor not making any statement about this ASUU strike? What do you think is responsible?
It's the governor you are talking about. Are they not corrupt? Are they not the same? They are there now. We can look at, for example, the security vote. Money that is meant for security. How is it utilized? Is that money? Will they audit that money? No. In the same way, they are all in the same gang. I'm telling you, it's part of the government. How can they say, are you going to go against the government? No. ASUU is a different something. The government, Oversight here, for example, is part of it. Part of government. So he cannot. What is he going to say? What is he going to say? The children, for example, we are going, well, I'm sorry to say that. Where are the children? Sorry to do that. Now, where is he going to spend his money? Nobody. So he's not going to say anything about what is happening. Otherwise, somebody that is sensitive to the plight of the people, he will just say, okay, this thing now, ASUU, he can come at the governor, all of the governor together.
They have forum.
At the forum, that's what I'm saying now. Talk to them. Let us end all this rigmarole. You are rigmarole all the time. Look at all these students now are more doing nothing. These children, even the criminality aspect of it, they are increasing it every day. This money given to you, you don't even spend it anyway. But you are going to spend the money. You are going to spend the money. Because most of the children see now, they smoke the boy back. I've seen the students from most schools now, from all those types of they smoke rubbish. And now you allow them to stay at home. Some of these students, I mean the university students, I'm not telling you, I mean the university, some of them, they smoke all these things. So you allow them to stay at home and mess up this the good ones. So I believe the governor cannot say anything because he's part of them. That is where I look at it. He's part of it.
Sir, I want to ask Mr. Abuku. I'm reserving one question for Gandhi. Is education really free? Is it a right or a privilege?
No, education is a right. You have a right to education and all that. Government have been complaining that they cannot. Government have been complaining. Education is a right. Government have been complaining that they cannot foot education anymore. But they have money to spend on trivial things that do not add value to us. They have so much money to throw away on things that don't have value to our place. You know, go and look at their, their entertainment fees, especially these elected leaders, holding elected positions. Go and look at the entertainment fees, expenses. It's more than what you spend. The average Nigerian spend for the next 10 years to keep his family, just for entertainment. You understand what I'm saying? You can understand. That is why we look at household budgets. Not the government, those budgets, they not can show. We look at household budget.
With the network, okay, it's back. This last question is to you, Oga Dave, Honorable Dave Sokunwo. Okay. How do you think that ASUU strike could be resolved once and for all?
Yes, actually, if you look at the educational sector, vis-a-vis that having to do with the university system, you see that there are so many, but to be specific, there is a difference. And the difference lies in the way the country is organized. That is why we'll be talking about restructuring the country. Restructuring can solve this problem once and for all. First and foremost, by the time you restructure the country, there are so many duties, so many responsibilities performed presently by the federal government that the federal government has to divorce itself of and leave it to the states, to the component states, to the federative units. If you go to virtually big federations and civilized world, how many universities are owned by the federal government? Imagine a university, imagine here in Nigeria, right from primary, even Amajiri to university, the federal government has a hand in them. Where is it going to get the fund to start funding them? To fund a university requires real money. The federal government cannot be funding over 70-something universities.
And they are approving more.
They are still approving more. You have colleges of education. You have secondary schools called all the unity schools. You have polytechnics. How can the federal government is spreading its hands all over all these various institutions? The federal government cannot have money to fund education all this way. So what we have been advocating for is let them restructure the country so that the component federating units will start having more responsibilities. If a state government is running its university, good. Maybe all those secondary schools and modalities, some of them will go to local governments. So that it is not divorced of the federal government. By then, all the federal government will now start doing is, since the universities actually go into research and some other things, anytime the federal government wants to conduct some research that they feel like someone going into, you just throw money into a particular university or throw money into some universities and let them work with some of the so-called National Institute of Researches, and they'll come and get the necessary results. Then secondly, all the federal government has to do so that the school fees will not be too much for parents to start paying is to start subsidizing the students. That is what they do in the US. They subsidize their students. That's what they do in most civilized countries. They subsidize their students. They don't own the university. It's not the federal government that owns most of the universities in the US. Okay, how many universities has the US government? How many universities has the British government? How many universities has the Canadian government? Most of these universities are owned by states and private individuals. But all that the federal government does is to put in subsidy to ensure that the school fees paid by the citizens of their country is not escalated. It's not out of the reach of the parents to pay. So restructuring the country is a very, very vital component as to how to address this problem once and for all time. Because by the time the federal government divorces itself of all the responsibilities it's now having and concerns itself with giving subsidies, giving scholarship to students, and these schools are being run by states and private individuals, I think the country would be better off for it. Instead of this situation whereby we start having recurring problem of ASUU, as a problem of striking lecturers, striking teachers, even across, or even up to the secondary school level, or the primary school level. That is striking. So all these things should stop. And this is the only way I think we should be able to stop it. So let's restructure the country.
Mr. Ogba, we are almost rounding up now.
Yes, like you earlier said, restructuring is the true federalism is the answer. Yes, true federalism is the answer because it's obvious now that federal government, their hands are full, their hands are filled up. Their hands are filled up more than their pockets. So true federalism is the answer. And like I earlier said, in this very case, the student must come out. It's not a joke. The student must come out. Come out and shut down Nigeria. Come and hold your hands. Tell them until they send you back to school, they will not do anything. That is what will give an answer to this question. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Ogba. Sir Ebweku,
Yes.
what is your final take on that?
Well,
If
you have my
provide
colleagues
solution?
talking about restructuring. Well, restructuring in the sense that, you must understand restructuring tends towards, resource control. Some section of this country do not want to come up. And it's the same problem we have now in putting money into education. The same set of people who say no to education are the same set of people who say no to restructuring. This is why we have done a lot. Through federalism, let us, but they know it tends towards resource control. And when they resource control, it will be able to take care of all these problems. You understand that? But they don't want it that way. There's unhealthy competition. Don't also forget that there's this, there is this, what I call, ethnocentric, tribalistic, negative attitudinal disposition in governance by most of the successive, presidents and, whoever come on board. They want my own. We look at our own backyard. It takes, I'm coming. It takes a president to own a university in your own place. It takes a governor to have a university in your own place. And we don't have all have equal chances and opportunity to become governors and president. That means we don't have help for public things. Why don't you cite this university in a place where it can be of use to the general, rather than wanting to cite it in your own domain? So the problem of looking at our own backyard alone is also there, self-centeredness. You get it? And so, with all this in mind, restructuring that would have actually brought us good, development, and engagement of the people that will ensure that there is good labor, reasonable labor assumption and equal distribution is not allowed to come up. So that is the problem. You look at the equal distribution structure, you look at labor assumption pattern, you look at the country, it's a failed economy.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So what's your final take on this? On how to resolve the issue,
the issue.
ASUU issue.
True federalism is the solution to our problem in this country. Like what is happening in America. If you go to America, you see all the states are autonomous.
Yes.
What they do, the states produce their own federal government. Their own federal government will only add something to it. Like, give me an example. A state where I studied, discover oil in the backyard of their man, a very well known man, discover oil. What happened? They allowed it to me to do everything, the necessary thing by the oil. What they did is just to pay the right to the government. What they did to the federal government. So that will happen in this country or not?
Yes.
We have to the states to go on their own, to be from every state, so that this idea of going to Abuja to pick will just end. And also, secondly, the aspect of students coming out to tell the government that, look, we are tired of this strike. We are tired of this now. We must do that. That must happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye, sir. Sir, Honorable David Sokmo,
Yes.
I want you to round up in a few minutes.
Okay. Actually, we have been able to establish the fact that our government actually has been wasteful. Our government has not been properly, our system of government has been defective. And we have actually been seeing cases of treasury looting and some others in the country. So as a result of all this accumulated to the extent that we can no longer run anything, education inclusive. So if we actually want the educational system to function in the country, we should go back to restructuring, having true federalism. So much so that the responsibilities attached to the federal government will now be reduced, and we will now have healthy competition among the states. And the states are going to generate money to fund their own universities and some other things like that, while the federal government merely subsidizes and gives scholarships and some other things. So I just personally believe that we should actually allow the right thing to be done. And this present situation, I believe it should serve as a wake-up call for us to address this problem once and for all, and for us to go to the issue of restructuring the country. So thanks a lot.
I'm grateful, Honorable Dave Osokmowo. You are a book writer, right?
Yes, I'm an author of 2 books.
Okay.
One, Perspectives on Corruption and Interrelated Vices in Nigeria. Then the second one that is about coming out, which is already in the press. It's Anatomy of Major Political Crisis in Nigeria. So these 2 books gives a comprehensive story, everything you want to know about Nigeria. So we get them from those 2 books. They are wrapped up in the books.
Pabinosa, thank you very much. Pabinosa is an accountant, right?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, I'm grateful. So, Mr. Ogba, Honorable, Ogba, please.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
All right.
Pa Gabriel Ebweku, thank you for giving us your
Thanks
time.
a lot. Thanks, I appreciate, Hamilton Socio-Economic Data Service.
Okay.
We're looking at the country, how the economy will improve, otherwise. We have to
Thank you very much for your time, for giving us this precious time of yours.
Okay.
Well, issue of ASUU has been discussed, the problem and the solution has been discussed. Next time, we'll actually convey again another separate location and also discuss other issues that is affecting us. My name remains Lefty Samo outside NIGERIAN for NIGERIAN. Thank you.
right. So